Good afternoon, it's Dr. Alan Yim. Is this the beat or the rhythm? I hope you said that is the rhythm. The rhythm is the pattern of durations long and short. The beat, again, is the underlying steady pulse of the music. You actually don't hear the beat all the time, especially in classical music, but you do hear the rhythm. And the rhythm really defines the music. So in a couple examples I'm going to give you today, I'm going to be describing very, very short rhythmic patterns that you can use to recognize what's happening in the music. So maybe one of the most famous ones is the short, 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 long pattern. Short, 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 long. And often people might say da 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 da. Okay, and it sounds like this. So short, 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 long. Everybody recognizes that pattern, I think, as Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. And it sort of has this feeling of fate. And that's why if you're a kid running around, you go da 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 da. That means that something maybe bad is about to happen. Another very familiar one is shown here by 3 quarter notes followed by a quarter rest. So you notice I have one of the quarter notes flipped over. So the two with the stems going up, those are your foot. And this one here is your hand clapping. So it might be like 2 stomps with your foot, a clap, and then a rest. You probably know what that tune is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, well, everybody knows probably that's We Will Rock You. Okay, I invite you now to go take a listen to Beethoven's Symphony No. 5. There's a link up at the top. And when you do go to listen to it, notice almost the entire first section of the piece has this rhythmic motive throughout. Even when there's another melody playing. For example, you might hear you'll hear that melody a little bit into the piece, but underneath you hear this da 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 going on the whole time. Now, when you're looking at a score, you can look for these patterns. So if you notice right here, 3 eighth notes followed by a half note. So it's 1 and 2 and 3. Sorry, 1 and 2 and 1, 2. 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1, 2. And this little symbol here that looks like a bird's eye, that is a fermata, which means that you waited a little bit. So it's 1 and 2 and 1, 2, and wait a little bit longer, and 1 and 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And that's the opening. And then as it goes on, if you take a look at the music, first the second violins play, and then the violas, they play. I'm a terrible person at reading viola. Okay. And then the violin. Okay, so those are the first 3 entrances. First, second violins, then the violas, and then violin 1. All right, go ahead and go listen to that and come back. Another rhythmic motive that's very, very popular or used all the time is a dotted rhythm. So what is a dotted rhythm? It's a note value of 3 followed by 1. So it's a little bit similar to what we heard before, but if this was 3 and this was 1, it'd be something like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, and so on. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1. So it's three things to 1. And faster, it would sound like this. So that little rhythm gives you, draws your attention. It sort of forces you to pay attention. Oftentimes, composers use this in repetition. They'll have that little motive followed by something, and then they'll have it again because it's easy to hear. So can you identify this piece just by its rhythm. So think about it for a second. And maybe you can think of it slower as well. Okay, well, there are actually two tunes that I know that start out just like that. They have exactly the same rhythm. And they are Happy Birthday and the Star-Spangled Banner. So take a look at it. Maybe I can zoom in on this a little bit, or maybe not. Let's see. Okay, I'm not going to zoom in it. You guys know how Happy Birthday goes, so. Okay, so it has that little pattern 4 times. The only difference is when you say the person's name, if it has 2 syllables, you're going to add an extra note on, or you're going to change the rhythm so you can fit their name into it. But the basic structure is just repeated. And then the person's name and... Okay. Star Spangled Banner begins. Oh, that one's in the wrong key. Okay, so again. So the Star Spangled Banner begins with the same exact rhythm as Happy Birthday, and it's sort of saying something to get your attention, and it does work that way. Okay, one last little rhythmic trick, and that is syncopation. So syncopation is emphasizing the weak part of the beat or the offbeat, and I'm going to use the term offbeat to represent the parts of the rhythm that are inside of the beat. So in other words, if we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, we can go twice as fast. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can divide the beat up. And if you emphasize other parts of the beat, maybe the and or the 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 1, if we emphasize those other parts of the beat, that is also a type of syncopation. So take a look at the rhythm that I have up here. So this is in 4/4. 4/4 is normally emphasized on beats 1. The downbeat is almost always what gets the emphasis in normal, I should say normal, but in a typical piece of music. So for us, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now take a look at what I have here. You notice it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are only emphasizing this beat as usual. Every other one here is on the weak part because this comes on 2, this comes on 4, there's the bar line, there's nothing on 1 here, and here's 2, and this is 4. So what does this sound like? Okay, it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I go a little bit faster, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm not going to count. All right, what does that sound like in an actual piece of music? Well, there's an opening of a piano concerto that uses this over and over again, and it's the Piano Concerto number 20 in D minor of Mozart. So this K number here, this is a catalog number. Mozart wrote a lot of works, so this is number 466 in the catalog. It's not the opus number. As I mentioned before, opus numbers are the published numbers, the number the publisher gives to the work. But in this case, Kerkel is this guy who went ahead and tried to categorize all of Mozart's music to put it in a chronological order that was historically accurate. And so every work by Mozart pretty much has a K number, and this one's 466. This is the opening of the piano concerto, but you notice there's no piano here. There's only strings, the two violin sections, the viola, the cellos, and the basses. As normal for piano concertos, the first movement is allegro. It's fast. Okay, now the most interesting thing to notice about this is the syncopation throughout the opening in the strings. So what does that do? Well, a couple things about this. Like the Fifth Symphony, it's in minor. So minor, in the case of Beethoven, is C minor, has a dark sound. This is up a step in D minor, but it's still minor sounding. Of course, it's a minor. So it's sad. It's not, which is a little brighter, but it's D minor. For Mozart, it's even more unusual to have a minor key. Beethoven, well, he's not as sunny as Mozart. Mozart's music tends to be very bright and cheerful, so it's rare that he writes in a minor key. And this opening syncopation really makes the music sound like it's driving, it's disturbing, it sounds maybe like you're very anxious. So let me just play these opening chords on the piano. So it sounds something like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then together with the basses, if I can do it. Okay, and I played beat 1. I wasn't supposed to do that. And so on. But of course, that's a terrible rendition of it. I advise you to go and just listen to the opening at the link that's up in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Okay, I'll give you one last example of syncopation. We'll end on it, and this is a little more cheerful. This is the opening of The Easy Winners by Scott Joplin. Of course, Scott Joplin wrote Ragtime, and Ragtime is just short for ragged time, ragged, because all of the, a lot of the melodies are syncopated. So take a look at this. This is very helpful down in the bass because it shows you how the upper part is lining up. And most of the time, okay, this is in 2/4. This is like a march. So it goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And these other parts are the end. So that's kind of a normal, not that fast. One thing about ragtime, doesn't really go fast. Okay, so let's see what this sounds like. The melody, as you can see, is mostly off the beat. I'll play the whole thing just with a little bit of a 4-bar intro, and you'll get the idea of what this music sounds like. Alright, well someday I hope I can play this for you live on a real piano. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next video.